All right, well, welcome back. So today we are going to take a look at the 3 Sharry babies that we looked at towards the end of March. See what their progression is, see how they're moving along, and see what new growths or what progressive growths we have. So 2 of them have quite a bit of new root growth that we can actually see in the pot. One is starting its root growth, but we can't really see anything in the pot yet. So let's go ahead and get started, and go ahead and hit that like button down below and leave a comment on how you care for your Sharry baby. And just remember, when you're leaving advice for how to care for a specific orchid or houseplant, make sure that you leave your environment as well, because not everyone grows in the same environment. Like I've stated before, I grow in my living room. I have an east-facing window. I don't have high humidity in my home. I don't grow in a greenhouse. So if you're growing in a greenhouse or a room that is specifically set aside for your plants and you have more controlled conditions, leave that as well, so that anyone who's reading your care tips who may want to try one of the tips that you give, make sure that you're leaving that so that they are aware of the conditions that you grow in, so that if it's not similar to their conditions, they're not trying it and thinking that you're just blowing a bunch of smoke. So getting back to the Sharry Baby, let's start with, I call this Sharry Baby number 3 because it is the smallest. This is the one that was our back bulb here, and she is working on this growth here that we had last time. I'll post a picture of what it looked like in our last video, as well as the video up above and in the description below, so you can go back and take a look at that. But as you can see, there are no new roots growing that we can see in the media quite yet. She still has all these tired old roots in here, but they are keeping her alive. This back bulb is starting to plump a little bit, so I'm assuming there are some roots in there. I do see where this one here has a root here, and then the newest growth also has some roots going down into the pot. It is right there. So this is the one that is an all cocoa husk, and I did put a top layer of bark chips and some pumice on there just because it was drying out quite frequently. And I do know that, like I said, that even though the cocoa husk is still wet on the inside, it's bringing up that humidity. I feel like some of the roots were just not going in the media because it was too dry on top. So every other day I'll just spray around just to keep that wetness above there so they travel down. Now once she starts building up her root system in the pot, I won't worry about it as much. But right now I do want all the new roots to go down. And the roots, not rotes. All right, so now let's look at this one. This is Sharry Baby number 2. This is the larger piece when the plant fell apart when I went to repot back in October of 2019. So this is the one that had the most back bulbs on it. And since dividing her, she has grown this growth here, which is the largest bulb from the others. And she attempted to grow this right here. And as you can see, it was really tiny. It didn't develop into anything. But we do have this growth here that is really taken off. It is the largest of the 3 that we had growing at the end of March. I have staked her to kind of go up instead of out, because I have noticed that the Sharry babies that I have like to go sideways. I'm not sure if that is a normal thing for most people or if it's just the way I have the lighting. But either way, I did stake it so that it will kind of harden more straight than to the side. She has lots and lots of new roots growing in the pot itself. A lot of the older roots are now branching, as well as new roots coming in. Sorry for the glare there, but she has lots of roots growing in. None coming out of the bottom yet. There are some at the bottom that probably are going to start making their way out. So the last one, which is the mama plant, or Sharry Baby number 1 if you want. So this is the one that I repotted in my very first video when I decided to take the plunge into YouTube. Yay me. But she is now producing all kinds of mad roots. So you see she's growing them out here, here. She's got some at the bottom. And when I repotted her, she was in this size pot, which I think is a 5-inch pot, 5-6-inch pot. And the entire outside was just a mass of roots. So I expect she's probably on her way to doing that. In this one, however, she will sit in this pot for a good 2 to 3 years until she literally outgrows the pot at the top. But so last month we had this growth here, which was so small that we couldn't see it. Well, look at the growth on it in just a month. Oops, let me move that leaf. That is amazing. So eventually she's going to get a little bit bigger, and I will stake her as well just to kind of give her a direction of growth. Then we have this growth here that we had last month growing off of this old bulb here that was trying to go sideways, but I think it's because it was trying to get from underneath this leaf. So since then, I have kind of moved the leaf off to the side, and now she's growing fairly straight. And then there is another new growth way in there that is just so tiny you can't see it, that has not done anything. So I don't know if it's just not going to produce anything, or because she's putting all this energy into these two growths plus the root growth down here, that she's just saving it for later. And I wouldn't mind if she did. This is the one that I expect a bloom of some sort. I don't even care if it's a bad blooming. I just want a bloom. I want to see this in person. And I would love it if it also had a smell. But again, let's start with the bloom, and then we'll work our way up to the smell. She still sits by an east-facing window. However, I have put her a little bit closer to the window just because of the way she grows. She's kind of on her own stand. It's a shorter stand so that all these leaves aren't knocking other things over, because I found when I went to water her, check on her, I kept knocking other things over. So she's still sitting by that east-facing window. The other two, Sharry Baby 1 and Sharry Baby 2, are still growing under the grow light on the grow shelf in the same spot they were in last month. I'm trying not to move them. I try to put them back when I water them. I try to put them back in the same position I had them in, because I have learned that if you keep moving the light on the orchids specifically, even if it's not a bloom, if it's a new growth, it tends to grow towards wherever the light is. And I think that's how I ended up with on this one here, how that one is kind of laying all off to the side. I think that's what happened, is I just wasn't paying attention to where I was putting the light, and it was just following the light. So with that said, if you have, again, any grow tips or any suggestions on how I can at least make sure one of these new growths bloom, or any other care tips for the Sharry Baby, go ahead and leave them in the comments down below with a reminder, you know, your growing conditions, so that we're all aware, and this way we don't take advice of someone who's growing in a controlled greenhouse and we're growing in our living room and trying to replicate that, because obviously we're not going to replicate a greenhouse in our living room unless we want to live with mold. Not healthy. So till the next time, we'll look at these again at the end of May and see the progression, and maybe we will see some bulbs forming. Till then, you guys have a great day, and we'll see you on the next one.